And you found quick review of the introduction to inequalities. All right, if you remember, the inequality symbol is an arrowhead. And you can see we have a left-facing arrowhead. And if you understand a number line, what happens as you move left? Numbers get smaller, right? So numbers get smaller, and therefore pointing to the left is a less than arrow. Over here on the right, we've got a greater than, because what is happening in the arrowhead? It is pointing to the right, and so that would be a greater than. And don't forget, if we put a line underneath the symbol, so greater than or equal to, that means the value, and any value larger is part of the solution. Okay, so a couple quick reminders here on graphing our inequalities. And so in our first example, we have n less than 3. N less than 3. And so what we want to do is, because the variable's on the left, that's where we want, and because it's a less than, it means the 3 is not included. So we want to circle over the 3. And then our arrow, because the variable's on the left, will go in the same direction that our inequality symbol is pointing. Now, if you remember, for me, I prefer that my students put their graph a little bit above. And the reason for that is it's easier and clearer for me to see the solution, especially when everything's in black and white. So circle over the 3, arrow to the left. Let's look at our second example here. In our second example, notice a couple things. We've got the variable on the right and the amount on the left. And I've instructed you that it's easier if you'll reverse the sides. I'll want to put the n on the left and the negative 3/2 on the right. But you have to remember that inequalities are not symmetric, meaning you just can't switch sides without doing something to adjust. And the adjustment is you have to reverse the inequality symbol. So we end up with n greater than or equal to negative 3/2. All right. Most of you will understand that negative 3/2 is negative 1 1/2, and that makes it easier to graph that. So I want a dot on or over the negative 1 1/2. So if you look at 0, when you start going left, there's negative 1, and negative 1 1/2 would be right there. Again, for me, I prefer my students to do it above. Again, why a dot? Because the negative 1 1/2 or the negative 3/2 is included in the solution. When it's an open circle, the number below is not included in the circle. And then the arrow now can go in the same direction as the inequality symbol because the variable is on the left. And remember what the graph represents. Any value underneath the graphed line here is part of the solution. Is 0 greater than or equal to negative 1 1/2? Yes. Is 2? Yes. Is 3 1/2? Yes. Is 2.7? Yes. Anything under there. Is 1,000,000? Yes. And that's the concept. So graphing. So if it's less than or greater than, circle over the number. And then less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, dot over the number. And if you put the variable on the left, number on the right, then your arrow will always go in the same direction as the inequality symbol.